Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome back. Okay, I'm just going to continue inshallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Muawiyah Lanatullah took advantage of the circumstances to cloak his regime with legitimacy. He claimed vengeance for the blood of Uthman Lanatullah and his mandate. He used the event of Takim to convince the public that he is fit to rule. He used the treaty with Imam Hussain alayhi salam as a means to consolidate power. Let's suppose, as a hypothetical, that Muawiyah had neglected to keep his eyes on Imam Hussain alayhi salam, and that the idea of the revolution was able to escape into the public and mobilize men against Muawiyah. Could Imam Hussain have led a successful revolution in such a hypothetical situation? Our question in this hypothetical is not about military success. Imam Hussain could not have led a revolution that would lead him to seize political power. He did not have a military that could compare to Muawiyah's military might. Even during the reign of Yazid, Lanatullah, when the Umayyad state was at the ebb of power, Imam Hussein's revolution could not seize military victory. The Umayyad state began a period of regress with the rise of Yazid into power. Many in the Muslim nation could not support such an individual as the head of state. Just a total loser. In addition, tribal infighting had reached a peak at that time, especially between the Yemenites tribe and the tribes of Hijaz. Rather, what we mean by victory here is the ability to use his revolution and sacrifice as a springboard for the host of social values and principles that he espoused, and as a means to show the Muslim nation the true face of Umayyad tyranny. Could he have inspired the nation with the renewed vigor and aspirations if he had revolted against Muawiyah in the same way that he did when he revolted against Yazid? The answer is an assured no. If Imam Hussain alayhi salam revolted against Muawiyah lanatullah, not only would he have faced certain military defeat, but he would not have been able to create his revolutionary legacy either. The secret to this lies in the painstaking efforts that Muawiyah took to ensure that his actions and demeanor were surrounded by a halo of piety in the eyes of the public. He also ensured that his regime is shrouded in a religious garb that gave it a faux legitimacy in the eyes of the Muslim nation. This reality would have deprived Imam Hussein's revolution of its greatest cause. Muawiyah's propaganda machine would have been able to successfully paint the revolution as a bid to seize political power. And when that succeeded, no one would remember Imam Hussain as the principled revolutionary who fought and sacrificed for his message. His message being the message of the Prophet, peace be upon him and his family. A faction of the nation would have likely considered him a transgressor who deserved his death. The assertions of Imam Hussain and his followers that their mission is to save Islam from the fabrications and tyranny of Muawiyah would have all fell on deaf ears. The public would have thought this as empty rhetoric, as Muawiyah was able to maintain his pious persona and keep his tyranny well concealed. Muawiyah would have surely used the treaty he signed with Imam Hassan to distort and defame the revolution of Imam Hussain. The public knew that Imam Hassan and Hussain alayhum salam had signed a treaty saying that they will not rise against Muawiyah. If Imam Hussain revolted against Muawiyah, he could have easily been painted as an opportunist that broke his oaths and promises to only seize power. Of course, we know that Imam Hussain did not believe that he was obliged to follow through with his end of the treaty. Firstly, the promises were made under compulsion and force, and under circumstances that had to be changed somehow. Secondly, Muawiyah had already breached every condition on his end of the treaty. Even if such a deal had any legitimacy, Imam Hussain would not be obliged to perform due to Muawiyah's reputation and breach. However, the society that Imam Hussain lived in, a community crippled by lethargy and trepidation, was not mature enough to realize this. Instead, they only knew that Imam Hussain had agreed not to fight and could not understand that Imam Hussain was no longer obliged. We can postulate that, had Imam Hussain risen in revolution, he would have been unsuccessful both militarily and socially. The nation, following Umayyad propaganda, would have thought that Imam Hussain breached the treaty and that the revolution was an illegitimate coup. This may help explain Imam Hussein's reply to the Iraqis when they began petitioning Imam Hussein for support after his brother Hassan refused to revolt. He told them, "Let every one of you remain in his home so long as this man," meaning Muawiyah, "remains alive. It was an oath that we gave unwillingly. When Muawiyah dies, we will reconsider, as shall you. We will see what happens, as shall you." In a book called Sul al-Hassan, The Peace of Hassan, the author Sheikh Radi al-Yassin, emphasizing that Imams Hassan and Hussein alayhim salam never paid allegiance to Muawiyah. He infers this from the terms of the treaty that Imam Hassan agreed to, as well as the words and actions of Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein. The terms of the treaty release and exempt Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein from any obligation towards Muawiyah that might be interpreted as giving any religious legitimacy to his reign. We also adopt this opinion as it seems irrefutable. In addition to what Sheikh al-Yassin mentions, we must also consider the character of both Imam Hassan and Muawiyah, a comparison which supports this point. Of course, this point does not change the answer to our central question. Muawiyah had used his propaganda machine to convince the public that Imam Hassan had paid allegiance to him, with all the temporal and religious connotations that this word carries. Muslims saw this oath of allegiance as an obligation that cannot be broken or escaped. Imam Hussein alayhi gave a similar response to another notable of Hijaz, saying, "We have given an oath and a promise. We have no way to breach it."